Hey, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I am right now 692,294 subscribers, and I have a live count going. And you could help me get to 700,000. I could do it by the end of the day, but I'm thinking the end of the week is more realistic. If you're not subscribed, some people think they are because they just watch my videos all the time. But if you're not subscribed, hey, it's free. Just click the subscribe button. I would appreciate it very much. Let's talk about how the Republican Party is not bringing their best or their brightest to the game. With the stakes as high as they are in this election, they're trotting out morons like Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. Look, I'm not casting aspersions here. I'm not making allegations. I'm not leveling accusations against the dear Senator Foghorn Leghorn. But if this guy's not drunk, he needs to check himself in for some cognitive analysis, because this is not the rambling of a sober individual. This seems to me to be somebody who has imbibed. A little later in the day, the show, so, who knows? I don't know. Senator Kennedy going on and on about how Kamala Harris is a ding-dong. Seriously, the Republican Party is just filled to the brim with backbenchers. Just the depth is not strong. They're not bringing their A game when they're sending people like John Kennedy to defend the positions and the candidacy of Donald Trump. And it was irritating Neil Cavuto, who was the host in this case, to no end. I'm going to play this first clip where he's attacking her and calling her ding dong and trying to attack her for laughing, that Margaret Thatcher didn't giggle, Golda Meir didn't giggle. It's a sight to behold. And then I'm going to play a clip where he gets taken to task by Neil Cavuto, to which he responds, well, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, and then goes on a weird, what you would expect from a Republican, no substance whatsoever. So here, watch this and just bask in the glory of the idiocy of this hick.
The burden on the vice president is to prove to the American people that she's a serious person. Margaret Thatcher didn't giggle. Golda Meir didn't giggle. When you look at the polls, fair or not, many Americans, and again, this may not be fair, but I'm just telling you what the polls show. Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong, that she's not serious.
This ding-dong, Senator, has risen in the polls, and I'm wondering if the strategy to focus on her laugh or the former president calling her nasty and crazy really promotes that push to show she's not up to the job. Does it look petty? Does it say to judge her on this level looks like a strategy that could backfire on Republicans? By all means, get her on the issues that matter, like you've talked about abortion, to clarify what this Supreme Court push might be about. But to focus on this other stuff just looks dumb.
Well, what I was going to say, Neil, if I could finish my thought, when you look at the polls, fair or not, what the polls, the crosstabs show, is that those Americans who have an opinion of the vice president think that, number one, she's a bit of a ding-dong, and number two, that she is a member of the loon wing of the Democratic Party. She's a San Francisco
that member
Democrat.
of the loon wing, Senator, that I'm not, casting aspersions either way, that member of the loon wing is now, dead even with Donald Trump in one battle state ground after another. Now, I'm not saying that might last. I am saying that this loon is surging, and if the Republican approach to her is to treat her like a loon and a cackle, and she is just an empty suit, I wonder how far that'll go.
Well, I'm sorry if that offends you, Neil, but I'm just telling you what the people of America think.
I'm just telling you what the polls are showing right now. Now, if you think they're short-lived, they're not going to last, and you're okay with this approach of talking about her laugh and nasty and disrespectful and all this stuff that Donald Trump has said, you don't think part of that is going to kill you at the polls?
I'm telling you what I think the American people think right now, based on the polling that I've seen. And let me say it again. I think that fair or not, and it may upset you, but fair or not, the American people think, those who have an opinion of the vice president think that, number one, she's a little bit of a ding-dong. She's not a serious person. They've had one vegetable in chief. They don't want another.
Sitting United States Senator from the great state of Louisiana. They've had one vegetable. They don't want another. Fantastic. Bringing the A game. Neil Cavuto was not amused and started pushing back. Look, a lot of people are, we're in a political cycle right now with poking fun and name calling. Democrats calling them weird. They're weird. Just demonstrably, they are weird. And what Neil Cavuto is getting at here is that political leaders maybe shouldn't be leaning into this, calling people ding-dongs and calling the sitting president of the United States a vegetable. And I don't know that I agree, but I can certainly understand the irritation that it doesn't really deal with substance, but that's not what this is about. When I call this guy a hick or a dipshit or foghorn leghorn or Tucker Carlson a googly-eyed feather duster or Marjorie Taylor Greene an unserious white Christian nationalist, it's not to move the needle relative to the name calling. I've made a joke there about the white Christian nationalist because that's accurate. That's not ad hominem. I do it for the infotainment value. I think a lot of people do because it's fun. Because if you're going to live in this dystopia or possible dystopia, sometimes gallows humor is what'll get us through. When I had cancer a couple years ago, we were making all kinds of jokes at my expense, and I was joining in on them because in the face of tragedy or possible tragedy, oftentimes people deal with it with humor. I actually got an email the other day from somebody who's like, it's inappropriate. You shouldn't be making jokes. This is very serious. Of course it's serious, and I talk about it like that, but I'm also going to make my jokes. This was an aside. I didn't even plan to talk about this, but here we are. Let's go to Cavuto, who's not amused, who is among, apparently, the population that believes name-calling, there's no place for it whatsoever, and he takes John Kennedy to task for it.
I'm just wondering, do you worry how that comes across? And maybe you draw no distinction between a female candidate and a male one, then that's fair game. But that this could hurt you with female voters with these type of comments.
Well, let me say it again.
Sure.
The vice president is a candidate for president of the United States. I don't care about her gender. Neil, maybe you do, but I don't. I don't care about her race. I care about her
Then
competence.
why call her a ding-dong?
And I'm telling you what the polling shows. I'm telling you what the polling shows. Right. And it does. And I'll be glad to sit down with you and walk you through the polls.
Please do, because I never know when it's constructed to call people names, you know, Senator. On the left or the right. But
I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but let me say it again.
Senator, you keep bringing it back to my feelings. My feelings matter a little. All I'm telling you is if you think you can gain this November calling people names, I don't know how far that goes, left or right, but we'll see. It's still early, to your point.
Your feelings seem to me like they matter to you a lot, Neil, and I'm trying to be objective here. Let me say it again.
Are you really being objective, Senator? I just think you've got a bash-a-thon, a name calling at her. If you call that being objective, I don't know. But, Senator, I do want to thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me, Neil. I hope you have a better day.
Yeah, so do I. Hope you have a better day. We'll have more after this.
Yeah, so do I. I hope you have a better day. Is it just me, or does John Kennedy look like a guy who doesn't have his teeth in while having teeth in? Like his face is so caved in, or he's so committed to the bit of being a hillbilly that that's the look he's going for. Look, I do get criticism for making fun of people from the South. I've lived in the South. I have a long lineage in the South. But if you don't, he's the reason that it becomes a stereotype that when I talk like a dumb guy, I use a Southern accent. It's because of John Kennedy. He is the manifestation, the representation of all that people are bummed out about when people are talking about dumb people and they do this. He's it. He's a real life. It's beyond me that he continues to get elected by the people of Louisiana. I love the state of Louisiana, but it's baffling. Anyway, this has been a whole bunch all over the map. I'd love to know what you think. You can leave a comment below. We can talk about it there. You can tell me how wrong I am there, or you can call and do it privately in a voicemail. 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I'd love to hear from you. Please consider supporting this work. You can help me produce these videos. Click the join button below, right over here, wherever it is. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Or you can click off the site and go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, a link to which will be below. Same deal. You can help me produce the videos there. That doesn't just support the podcast. It absolutely supports the videos here. And I would appreciate it very much. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere. And I will see you next time. Ding dongs.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
Be genuine and take care of one another.